Dark Crisis is a booster set which combined the Japanese sets Power of the Guardian and Threat of the Dark Demon World. Released in North America on December 1st, 2003, being the last core set of that year. It introduced the Archfiend archetype, as well as quite a few staple cards for years to come. Folks, Dark Crisis didn't fail when it comes to the weird side of Yu-Gi-Oh! I actually had a hard time narrowing it down to just 10 while looking up the set list. So, without further ado, let's jump into the top 10 weirdest monsters in Dark Crisis. And starting off the list at number 10 is Nken Dog. Nken Dog is a wind level 4 beast warrior normal monster with 1800 attack and 1000 defense with flavor text that reads, a ninja dog who has mastered extreme ninjutsu. Through hard training, it learned the technique to metamorphose into a human being. Okay, I know Nken Dogs came out 2 years after this guy, but I've always just heard that game's name when I hear Nken Dogs. But the reason I think this pup is a weird monster is that, well, it should be pretty self-explanatory. A normal-ass dog who was sentient enough to master ninjutsu and be able to transform himself into, essentially, a damn furry. The other parts about Nken Dog are not too strange, which gives it the lowest spot on the list. And up next at number 9 is a-DUEL! a-DUEL is an Earth level 4 fairy effect monster with 1500 attack and 1300 defense, whose effect says, when this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard as a result of battle, roll a 6-sided die. You can special summon one fairy type monster from your graveyard whose level is equal to the number rolled. If the result is 6, you can special summon a level 6 or higher monster, like a ghost from the past, coming to haunt the player base nearly 20 years later. This monster lives on in both fondness and disdain, mainly because of the havoc Ishizu tier limit wreaked not too long ago. But this entry isn't about the modern version. It's about a monster who, for all intents and purposes, is an absolute dog card and has never seen competitive play. But now that I tore a-DUEL a new asshole for no reason, let's talk about why it's so strange. The main and obvious reason is the artwork. a-DUEL is a fairy type, which implies some type of divinity, and given its look, it's most likely depicted as a biblically accurate angel, and you know how weird those things can get. I'm all here for it though, since if you've been a viewer of the channel for a bit now, you'll know I love everything Eldritch and Lovecraftian, especially in this children's card game. And if you haven't been watching, and this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe to see future ones like this. Thanks in advance. But the only other strange thing about a-DUEL is its effect, which is relatively unique among gamble effects. But that's the thing, it's a gamble effect, and it's way too specific and not worth the payoff to have ever seen play. But that's beside the point. a-DUEL just narrowly makes the list at this lower spot, and I hope that one day his younger retrain gets unbanned, or not. Listen, I'm just a fucking scrub here. Don't take my opinion on modern Yu-Gi-Oh! To heart. And at our number 8 spot is Ojama Green. Ojama Green is a light level 2 beast normal monster with 0 attack and 1000 defense, whose flavor text reads, he's one of the Ojama trio. It's said that he butts in by any means necessary. It's also said that when the three are together, something happens. Bro, I thought this was like a GX card. There's no way that Ojama Green, of all the Ojamas, was released before the other main two. You'd think that with Ojama Trio in this set, that, you know, they'd print them here too. It probably has something to do with the fact that back in the day, the TCG core sets were combinations of 2 OCG sets, but don't quote me on that. And also, I know we're somewhat close to the GX era of cards, but I had no idea that the Ojamas, which were an integral part of Chaz Princeton's deck, were released before the GX era. It just puts the Yu-Gi-Oh! Timeline into a new perspective for me. There's not much need to explain just why Ojama Green is just a fucking weird monster, but yeah, just look at the fucker. He's a muscular demon thing, creature with one eye that has sideways eyelids, a gigantic mouth with frankly downright terrifying teeth, and a tongue that has frighteningly detailed saliva on the end, and is wearing essentially a Speedo, where I'm pretty sure you can see a bulge. Not to mention some other details like that it's a beast type when I think that he looks more like a fiend, but that's just my humble opinion. Also, the flavor text on all 3 main Ojama monsters is the exact same, so that's a strange bit of trivia as well. All around, Ojama Green, apparently the OG Ojama, is one of the strangest monsters in Dark Crisis. And up next at number 7 is Guardian Seal. Guardian Seal is a fire level 4 pyro effect monster with 1700 attack and 1400 defense with the following effect. Cannot be summoned unless you control a face-up shooting star bow seal. You can send one equipped spell card you control that is equipped to this card to the graveyard to target one monster your opponent controls. Destroy that target. As one of the monsters in the Guardian archetype, Guardian Seal is definitely one of the weirder looking ones. I honestly don't know what this thing is supposed to be, but I guess it's some sort of humanoid chimera creature. Besides the artwork, Guardian Seal's summoning condition is also a bit unorthodox, needing to control a specific equipped spell card called Shooting Star Bow Seal, which is the theme for all of the Guardian monsters. Each of their weapons that are depicted in their artwork being said equipped spells. Other than the Eldritch artwork and wonky summoning condition, Guardian Seal is par for the course when it comes to level 4 beat sticks, so it doesn't make it any higher on the list. And up next at number 6 is Great Mau Garette. Great Mau Garette is a dark level 6 fiend effect monster with 0 attack and 0 defense with an effect that reads, the attack of this card becomes twice the original attack of one monster that you tributed for the tribute summon of this card. Now here's a scary ass motherfucker. From the demonic look to its pretty unique effect, Great Mau Garette is one of the coolest tribute monsters in the set. This thing can get to a ludicrous attack if used with the right monster. There is a higher level counterpart to this guy, ironically just called Mau Garette, that is just miles worse, due to needing 2 tributes for essentially the same effect. Now we know why this guy has the great in his name, despite being a lower level. Overall, this demonic boy lands a solid middle spot on the list. And about halfway through the list, at number 5 is Different Dimension Dragon. Different Dimension Dragon is a light, level 5 dragon effect monster with 1200 attack and 1500 defense whose effect reads, this card cannot be destroyed by spell or trap effects that do not target it. This card cannot be destroyed by battle with a monster that has 1900 or less attack. You know, I don't think they actually planned for this thing to be part of the Different Dimension lore with all of the DD monsters, because its effect has nothing to do with banishing. Oh yeah, and DD isn't in its name, but that's beside the point. This monster is just all sorts of fucked up, so let's break it down. For one thing, its level to stats ratio is something out of the first set of the game. Having 1200 attack and 1500 defense is below average even for a level 4 monster, let alone one that needs a tribute. And do you think its effect warrants a higher level? No! It basically just gets some of the shittiest protection that, admittedly, not a ton of monsters have. Normally a card will have targeting protection, destruction protection, or both. But this guy has non-target destruction protection. Just a little strange in my eyes. It also can only be killed by a monster with more than 1900 attack, so that's a thing, I guess. But why I put Different Dimension Dragon on the list is because of its cosmic and unknowable artwork. Seeming like something out of what ancient people would depict as a divine monster that wreaked havoc on their towns and villages, this, I guess you can call it a dragon, just gets me going. Damn you fucking perverts. Not in that way. I'm just saying that primordial looking creatures like this always give it cool/weird points for me. I honestly didn't know this monster existed before looking at this set list, but I am glad that he exists, so that he can also exist on this list. And up next, at number 4, is Berserk Dragon. Berserk Dragon is a dark, level 8 zombie effect monster with 3500 attack and 0 defense with this effect. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned with a-DUEL with Dark Ruler, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. During each of your end phases, this card loses 500 attack. You know, to the Joker, Berserk Dragon, just a dragon. You wanna know how I got these cards? This unholy spawn of Satan is one of the coolest looking monsters in Dark Crisis. Also, having a huge attack of 3500 really sells the boss monster look. But unfortunately, like a lot of cool looking monsters of its day, Berserk Dragon is just not good in the slightest, needing a specific quick play spell card to be summoned, and just not having a good enough payoff for all the setup. Plus, in true zombie fashion, it basically decays, losing 500 attack each of your end phases. All of this, along with the scary and demonic artwork, culminates into why this thing is so weird. Also, I just noticed that Berserk Dragon has hair? Maybe he was born with it. Or maybe it's necromancy. And up next at number 3 is Metalizing Parasite Lunati. Metalizing Parasite Lunati is a water level 7 Aqua Union effect monster with 1000 attack and 500 defense with the very wordy old school Union monster effect that says, once per turn during your main phase, if you control this monster on the field, you can equip it to a face-up monster on your side of the field as an equipped spell card, or unequip the Union equipment and special summon this card in face-up attack position. While equipped to a monster by this card's effect, that monster will be unaffected by the effects of spell cards controlled by your opponent. One monster can only be equipped with one Union monster at a time. If the monster that this card is equipped to is destroyed by a result of battle, destroy this card instead. Bro, what the actual is this thing supposed to be? I know it's a parasite, so maybe it's some sort of flatworm, like a tapeworm, but I don't fully know. Whatever it is, it's just one of the strangest cards I've ever laid eyes on. Let's start with the obligatory level way too high for stat discussion. Like, level 7? With level 3 stats? But along with the artwork being unrecognizable as any one creature in real life, its effect is just that stupid long-ass old school Union monster effect where it, well, explains how Union monsters are supposed to work, while the actual unique effect barely takes up any space in the text box. All in all, Metalizing Parasite Lunati is one of the weirdest motherfuckers to grace this set, and the runner-up on this list is number 2, Dark Flare Knight. Dark Flare Knight is a dark, level 6 warrior fusion effect monster with 2200 attack and 800 defense, whose materials to fusion summon include Dark Magician plus Flame Swordsman. And the following effect. You take no battle damage from battles involving this card. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, special summon one Mirage Knight from your hand or deck. Damn anime card shit. Why is this card so weird, you may ask? Let's start with its materials and stats. Normally, fusion monsters are stronger than both of its materials. Not this guy. No. One of its materials, the Dark Magician, has 300 more attack and 1300 more defense than Dark Flare Knight. But the other strange thing about its materials is that the other one is another fusion monster, so you still need to be able to get Flame Swordsman out of the extra deck to begin with to even be able to summon this guy in the normal way. And finally, its effect. Basically only ever wanting to be summoned to essentially crash him into a bigger monster so that you can get out a Mirage Knight from either your hand or deck. Mirage Knight is essentially an honest on legs when attacking, which is good in older Yu-Gi-Oh!, but it gets banished at the end of the turn you attacked with it, so unless you know you're going for lethal, it'll never have too big of an impact. Plus, all the hoops that you have to jump through to get Mirage Knight out is just way too big of a task to ever have seen play. But there's just one more monster that I think is a bit weirder. So let's jump into it. And at number 1, the winner of the weirdest monsters in Dark Crisis goes to Exodia Necros. Exodia Necros is a dark, level 4 spellcaster effect monster with 1800 attack and 0 defense, with a long-ass effect that reads, cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned with contract with Exodia, and cannot be special summoned by other ways, cannot be destroyed by battle or spell or trap effect. Once per turn during your standby phase, this card gains 500 attack. Destroy this card unless all 5 of these cards are in your graveyard. Exodia the Forbidden One. Right arm of the Forbidden One, left arm of the Forbidden One, right leg of the Forbidden One, and left leg of the Forbidden One. And speaking of anime-ass cards, I present to you Black Exodia. Dude, back in the day, this thing, mainly because of the anime, seemed unbeatable. Being used by Seto Kaiba's father against Yugi in one of the filler arcs, he seemed even more powerful than the OG Exodia. Keyword seemed, because the way you need to summon this guy for just a glorified beat stick with destruction protection is not worth it in the slightest. Plus, if any piece of Exodia is removed from your graveyard in any way, he just blows himself up. All of this comes together to make what could have been a powerful new monster at that time, and admittedly is super badass in theory, just not a very good choice to play, but also the weirdest monster in all of Dark Crisis. I know I've been teasing it for a while now, but this is truly the last video I'm making about sets from 2003, and the first set of 2004. If you know the game well, is quite the literal game changer, and I couldn't be more excited to make those videos for you guys. But that's it for my time. Remember to like the video, subscribe if you're new here to become a scrub-scriber, and make sure to let me know below what you think the weirdest monsters are in Dark Crisis. And I will see you guys in 2004.